This is Zechariah Gaudin, and today I'm going to be doing my presentation on AG and change. So let me get the thing up real quick. So, right, it's about technology and how technology will launch Pentecostalism forward. So, uh, what are the biggest focuses of the AG Church? Hard hard question to answer in one sentence, but according to I looked at the Assemblies of God main website. Assemblies of God organized April 1914, Hot Springs, Arkansas. A little bit of backstory, and says it was created to promote unity, doctrinal stability, and coordinate the mission enterprise. So obviously, one statement could not cover the entire Assemblies of God. Everything they do in the daily, all of the things that they do, obviously. But this gives us uh kind of something to go off of. So from this, we get one to promote unity, two to doctrinal stability, simplifies that into preach and to teach, and then three is to coordinate the mission enterprise and to reach others. So technology is going to launch the AG church forward. As we move along in time, it's clear that more and more technology is being created, and technology as well is becoming more and more large, which is not a bad thing if it's used correctly. According to article, in the months of 2020, around 97% of churches are live streaming their services. This was obviously in the height of uh around the COVID time, so very important for a lot of people that couldn't be or either didn't want to risk going outside. It allowed that kind of launched this thing forward of this live streaming services. And according to this other website, this other article, around 33% of church attendees first attended their services online. So I believe the number of online church attendees will continue to grow as time goes along, as technology becomes more available in more and more places. There will be more and more service, more and more people that are able to have access to church services that they normally wouldn't have, whether it be people like we have something that happened like how we had COVID, or just people that don't have a church necessarily right next to them, whatever it may be, that Pentecost, the AG Assemblies of God will focus heavily on taking advantage of the technology. There's so many people on screens and all this stuff constantly, especially the next generation. So a big way we can get to the next generation is by using technology. And yeah, the use of church services being online makes services more accessible for many more people, and is one of the biggest missions of the church is to reach others. Like I said earlier, one of the biggest is to reach others, and being able to put services online makes church services more accessible for many others. Missions, the assemblies, talking about missionaries, the Assemblies of God, another way of reaching people. The Assemblies of God has sent out 2,700 missionaries. It's a rough estimate. As technology moves along, sending out missionaries has become easier in many ways. For example, very practical, being able to speak the languages of the people of the places we go. It's a lot Technology has made it much easier to absorb information, like learning languages. It's one of the more accessible things now. Communication with active missionaries. Technology allows many tools like instant messaging, video conferencing, and much more. When we do have missionaries out in the field, how we can contact them, and you know, that this communication between large spaces will become easier and easier with more technology, with Wi-Fi, that kind of thing being put up in more and more places. Uh and the number of missionaries and people helping with missions will continue to grow because technology is kind of we're using tech we can use technology as a kind of foothold to launch us into places that we might not have had access to before. Whether we use there's so many different ways we could use it to make money, to go towards missionaries, to communicate, like I mentioned earlier, to learn information, to absorb information. All these things will make missions will make missions even easier, and will allow missionaries to have access to more and more lands, more and more places, more and more people. The AG Church will lean hard into teaching doctrine, and technology will help launch this process forward. The Assemblies of God has over 70 schools and universities worldwide. In the United States, there are 18 colleges affiliated with the Assemblies of God Church. AG Church schools have 3,037 Bible schools and extension programs worldwide with more than 162,000 students. In 2000, there were 842 Christian schools affiliated with the Assemblies of God in the United States. The number of schools in the US, well, this is a prediction by me. This number of schools in the US will grow to around 5,000 by the year of 2030. There will be around 200,000 students enrolled in AG Church schools. Very similar with technology, and have more and more places having access to Wi-Fi and access to technology. There is the opportunity for people to have access to these schools, even if they are not able to if they don't have a school there physically, whether in their country or in their town, whatever it may be. They have access to one online. They have access to materials, books, all these things that they might not have had access to before. As technology goes along, the possibility of online schooling will allow more AG schools and many more possibilities for people to go to these schools. Um, Technology is very helpful in the schooling process. It allows many more opportunity. Some people say it might be hard or whatever, but it allows more opportunity for people to get involved in this process. And next is to promote unity. The state of being united. The definition of unity is the state of being united or joined as a whole. In order for us to be joined as a whole, we need to be able to communicate with each other on regular intervals, like I talked about earlier with the communication. Another way for us to be united is to make sure we all have the same beliefs. So it's important that we preach and teach others. If we don't have the same beliefs, it's very hard for us to agree on issues. If there's um things that we things that we need to address, if there's conflict, whatever it may be, uh it's important that we agree on the same thing. So it is important that we preach and teach others, like how I mentioned earlier with the the promoting unity is kind of a combination of reaching people in missions, reaching people in general, and preaching and teaching people as well. I do foresee the Assemblies of God unity being strengthened. Seems to be a trend of churches leaving the AG because of conflicting ideals or other issues, whether it's the Trinity, they're disagreeing on doctrine, whatever it may be. And I don't foresee this issue completely stopping. I don't see it really the trend stopping, but I foresee those who remain creating a strong and unbreakable and dependable bond because of how much the AG is going to be able to push doctrine and be able to teach it. I say push it, being able to teach it and make it accessible to more people using technology and all these things, being able to reach more and more people. And in conclusion, instead of forsaking the great advances of technology we have, let's take advantage of the great opportunity we have. Instead of focusing on all the misuses of technology, let's think and create more ways to help people using technology. Technology is obviously a very big topic nowadays. People bashing it and all these things because there is a lot of bad things that it can bring, but it also is a very useful tool in many ways. Let's bring more attention to all the good things that technology can help us accomplish. Technology is just like a knife. If used correctly, it can be used to cut foods, meats, and etc. But if the person using it decides to use it as a weapon, it can do a lot of damage. If a person decides to use technology in a bad way, in a harmful way, it can do a lot of damage. But if it's used correctly and if it's used safely, it can do a lot of good. So instead of telling our youth and others about how bad technology is and trying to keep them from using it, let's educate them on the pros and cons of technology so they know how to use it safely and correctly. So they are prepared, so they're not scared of using technology. They have a understanding of how it works. And here are my sources. Thank y'all so much. Gotta figure out how to